Here's a hard truth that most people never want to hear. The single biggest threat to your wealth in America is not a market crash. It's not a recession, it's not inflation, it's not some politician in Washington. It's you. Over and over, I watch regular people with perfectly good incomes quietly sabotage their own financial future, not with one dramatic disaster, but with small, self-inflicted wounds that bleed their portfolios year after year. And the cruel part is, they almost never notice it happening. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 most common self-inflicted mistakes quietly draining American portfolios. Every single one is completely avoidable, and fixing even 1 or 2 of them could be worth tens of thousands of dollars to your future self. So be honest with yourself as we go, and check whether you're guilty of any of these. Mistake number 1, sitting in cash. This is the quiet killer, and it's everywhere. Millions of Americans have money piled up in a checking or savings account, earning almost nothing because they're scared to invest it. And I get it, cash feels safe, but for long-term money, cash is one of the riskiest things you can hold because inflation eats it alive. Prices climb 2-3% a year every year. So money sitting in a low-interest account is quietly losing purchasing power the whole time. It feels safe because the number doesn't drop, but what that money can actually buy shrinks every single year. Meanwhile, that same money invested in a broad index fund has historically grown around 10% a year over the long run. The gap between those two over decades is staggering. Now, to be clear, you absolutely should keep a cash emergency fund, a few months of expenses. But your long-term money should not be sitting in cash rotting away. That's not caution, that's a slow, guaranteed loss. Put a number on it. At 3% inflation, the buying power of cash roughly halves over about 24 years. So $100,000 stuffed under the mattress, or in an account paying almost nothing, buys you about $50,000 worth of stuff by the time you retire. Meanwhile, that same $100,000 invested and left alone could have grown many times over. The saver who felt so safe actually took the biggest loss of all. They just never saw it, because the number on the statement never went down. Mistake number 2, panic selling when the market drops. This is the most emotionally destructive one, and it's wrecked more American retirements than any crash ever did. Here's how it always plays out. The market falls 20-30%. The news screams that it's the end of the world. And people watching their life savings shrink day after day can't take the pain, so they sell to make it stop. And then, as it always has, the market recovers and climbs to new highs without them. They locked in their losses and missed the rebound. Let me be crystal clear about this. A market crash doesn't lose you money unless you sell. If you just hold on and keep buying, downturns are temporary. Every single crash in American history has eventually recovered. Look at the record. In the 2008 financial crisis, the market got cut roughly in half, and the people who sold at the bottom missed one of the greatest bull runs in history. In early 2020, the pandemic crash wiped out a third of the market in weeks. And again, the panic sellers missed a stunning recovery that came almost as fast. Every time, the ones who held on came out ahead of the ones who ran. The people who got permanently hurt were the ones who panicked and sold at the bottom. Don't be that person. When the market drops, the move is to do nothing, or better yet, keep buying while everything's on sale. Mistake number 3, paying high fees. This one is sneaky because it's painless in the moment, which is exactly why it's so dangerous. A lot of Americans are sitting in expensive, actively managed funds, or paying an advisor a percentage of their assets every year, and they have no idea how much it's actually costing them. A fee that sounds tiny, like 1 or 2% a year, sounds like nothing, right? But because of compounding, that small annual skim can quietly devour a massive chunk of your lifetime returns. We're talking a huge share of your final nest egg gone just in fees. Meanwhile, a simple low-cost index fund charges almost nothing and beats most of those expensive funds anyway. So check what you're paying. Look up the expense ratios on your funds. Ask what your advisor actually charges. Every dollar you're not paying in unnecessary fees is a dollar that stays invested and compounds for you. This is one of the easiest fixes on this list and one of the most powerful. To see how brutal fees really are, imagine two investors with identical returns over a career, but one pays a 1% higher fee every year. That single extra percent, compounding against them for 30 or 40 years, can quietly eat something like a quarter of their final balance. A quarter of your life savings, gone, not to a crash, not to bad luck, but to a fee you probably never even noticed you were paying. Nobody would accept handing over a quarter of their nest egg if they saw it as one big number. Yet millions do it a sliver at a time without blinking. Mistake number 4, holding your investments in the wrong account. This is the one nobody talks about, and it's costing people a fortune quietly. In America, where you hold your investments matters enormously because of taxes. If you're investing in a regular taxable brokerage account while your Roth IRA and 401k space sit empty, you're handing the IRS money you never had to give up. In a taxable account, you get taxed on your dividends every year and on your gains when you sell. Hold that same investment in a Roth, and all of that growth is completely tax-free forever. Same fund, same market, wildly different outcome purely because of the account. So the fix is simple. Fill your tax-advantaged accounts first. Grab your full 401k match. Fund your Roth IRA. Max out your tax-sheltered space before you ever put $1 in a taxable account. Getting this order right can save you tens of thousands over a lifetime, and most people never even realize it's a choice they're making. Mistake number 5, trying to time the market and picking hot stocks. This is the ego mistake, the one that feels smart while it quietly loses. It comes in 2 flavors. The first is timing, sitting in cash, waiting for the perfect moment to buy, waiting for the dip, waiting for things to calm down while the market climbs right past you year after year. Nobody can time the market consistently, not even the pros, and a huge chunk of the market's gains come on just a handful of days that you'll miss if you're on the sidelines. And here's the cruel twist. Those best days almost always come right after the scary ones, in the middle of the very crashes that frighten people out of the market. So the person who sells to wait for calm is usually sitting in cash on exactly the days that would have made them the most money. Studies have shown that missing just the 10 best days over a couple of decades can slash your total return dramatically. You cannot catch those days if you're not in the market. The second flavor is stock picking. Dumping your boring index fund to chase whatever's hot, some individual stock or trendy sector everyone's talking about. And you almost always show up late, right at the top, just in time to ride it back down. Both of these are you trying to outsmart the market, and both reliably lose to the person who just bought a simple index fund and held it. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. So there they are, the 5 self-inflicted wounds. Sitting in cash, panic selling, paying high fees, using the wrong account, and trying to outsmart the market. And I want you to notice something crucial about all 5. Not one of them is caused by the market, the economy, or bad luck. Every single one is a choice made by the investor, which is actually the best news possible because it means the biggest variable in your financial success is the one thing you completely control, your own behavior. You don't need to predict the market. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to stop doing these 5 things. So here's your homework, and it's simple. Go through this list honestly and find the 1 or 2 mistakes you're guilty of right now, because almost everyone is guilty of at least one. Maybe you've got too much cash sitting idle. Maybe you're in expensive funds. Maybe you've been investing in a taxable account while your Roth sits empty. Whatever it is, fix that one thing this week and then come back and fix the next one. You don't have to solve all 5 at once. Get invested, stay invested, cut your fees, use the right accounts, and stop trying to be clever. Do that, and you'll quietly move ahead of the huge number of Americans who keep sabotaging themselves without ever knowing it. And since tax and fee rules do change, do check the current details before you act. If this made you spot a mistake you've been making, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.